The Iranian military has released a delicately worded statement on Israel's attack early on Sunday, which suggests that Iran may be open to a true solution over further escalation of conflict in the region. Now, while highlighting that it had a right to retaliate, Iran said that a ceasefire deal in the Gaza Strip and Lebanon was more important than any retaliation against Israel. The Iranian military put out a statement via its official channel. Listen in.
در اطلاعیه ستاد کل نیروهای مسلح ضمن تاکید بر محفوظ دانستن حق پاسخ قانونی و مشروع خود در وقت مقتضی بر لزوم برقراری آتشبس پایدار در غزه و لبنان برای جلوگیری از کشتار مردم بیپناه و مظلوم تاکید شده است.
Israel claims that 3 waves of strikes took place, first targeting the Iran's air defense systems. The other 2 waves targeted the bases and factories of drones and missiles, which could be used in a repeat of Iran's last attack against Israel. The Israeli military released some images of the Air Force preparing for the attack. It said several female pilots took part in the mission. Iran has downplayed the attack, saying it caused only limited damage. Iran's military said that the Israeli warplanes used very light warheads to target border radar systems in the provinces of Ilam, Khuzestan, and around Tehran. Explosions were also reported at Isfahan, home to a military base and a missile production factory, as well as Mashhad, where an Iranian airfield is located. Now, earlier, U.S. President Joe Biden said he had been monitoring the situation with his intelligence team, adding that Israel did not strike anything other than the military targets. He said he hoped there would be no further escalation.
It looks like they didn't hit anything other than military targets. My hope is this is the end.
However, an American researcher said that a building that was part of Iran's defunct nuclear weapons development program was hit. Also, he and another researcher said facilities used to mix solid fuel for missiles were also struck. Now, Iran said that U.S.'s complicity in the Israeli strikes were certain. The country cited the use of Iraqi airspace for the strike, which it highlighted is under the occupation command and control of the U.S. military. Now, meanwhile, David Barnea, the head of Israel's spy agency, the Mossad, CIA Director William Burns, new Egyptian intelligence director Hassan Mahmoud, and Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed Al Thani will participate in ceasefire talks in Qatar on Sunday, which is the first since August.
Permanent ceasefire at what Israel wants as a hostage release.
All right. And for more, we are now being joined by Dr. Avner Cohen, a professor of non-proliferation and terrorism studies at the Middlebury Institute. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, let me begin by asking you now. Right. Now, Tehran said Tel Aviv used Iraqi airspace to launch its strikes, and that it added that it is under the occupation command and control of the U.S. military. And this is what Iran's mission said. Conclusion that U.S. is complicit in this crime. What I want to ask you is how the White House has officials said that U.S. was not involved in the strikes. Now, does that mean that Iran and Iraq relation might see a downward trajectory?
I do not know. Israel has not confirmed anything about the details of its airstrike against Iran. One might assume that much of it was not done by flying over Iranian territories, aerial territories. Logically, given the opposition of Saudi Arabia and the sensitivity and the UAE and Jordan, it's most likely that Israel has done it probably from some point either in eastern Syria or possibly somewhere on Iraq. Israel has not confirmed. The United States has not confirmed anything about Israeli routes. I don't think that's the issue is going to be too much at the center of things, because both countries, in fact, the whole Middle East, would like to see that episode is gone. Iran would like to concentrate on its leverage vis-a-vis the rest of the Middle East, what's going on in Lebanon, conditions for ceasefire in Lebanon, possibly Gaza, and the like.
Right. That makes sense. I also wanted to ask you, Iran had waited around 2 months before it attacked Israel in retaliation to Ismail Haniyeh's killing. Do you think Iran will, as it said, self-respond in due time?
It's possible from what we see so far, and so far it means less than 24 hours after the Israeli strike, are evidence that the Iranian government would like to see it's over. I mean, the Iranian public has not seen much of the damage. The damage described as limited. Essentially, the whole attack was kind of dwarfed. I believe 4 Iranian soldiers were killed, so it's still relatively limited loss of life. And I think that officially, the Iranian government would like to see it over.
Right. And then on the Israeli side, what do you think is making Netanyahu, so you talked about how Iran would like to go for a ceasefire. What do you think is making Netanyahu not reach a ceasefire? Most of the heads of Iran's proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah, are eliminated, but the IDF is still making people in Gaza move from one place to another. The humanitarian situation is not getting any better, and well, the hostages are not back. So what exactly is Netanyahu now aiming for?
Well, it's not fully clear. I think there is an interest in Israel to find a way, to find a formula, possibly relying on the United Nations Security Council old resolution 1701, or possibly another related Security Council resolution that would allow to have a disengagement of the forces. I think before Israel would move into that, they would like to finish, and it could be done within 2 or 3 weeks. Much of the destructions of the immediate borders, the immediate infrastructure of Hezbollah along the borders, and then to go back and to have some kind of active defense over the borders. Hopefully, that would be a sign to bring back the 80,000 Israeli that were evacuated almost essentially a year ago, to bring them back to their homes. Some of those homes no longer exist.
Right. That being said, U.S. was able to restrain Israel's attack in Iran. Do you think it will be able to do that in Lebanon as well?
Excuse me, can you repeat the question?
So, of course, we know that U.S. had, with the meetings with Israel, of course, they restrained Israel's attack on, for example, nuclear sites and oil facilities. Do you think that they will be able to restrain Israel's invasion in Lebanon as well?
I think so. I think that the Israeli, the war has been going on for more than a year. Israel, in terms of ammunitions, in terms of various supplies, is very much dependent on the United States. Israel is fighting actively in 2 major fronts, Gaza and Lebanon. The Israeli army is very much exhausted. So I think there is a interest in Israel, in the IDF, and also in the government to end within a few weeks the operation in Lebanon. The story in Gaza is more complicated because the question is who will replace, what kind of governing structure will be installed to replace the Hamas. And unfortunately, Benjamin Netanyahu has so far no much interest in moving to the so-called the day after.
All right.
So, but at the same time, I think that there could be opportunities, including with Iran, to try to have some larger scheme that would include also release of the hostages and using some kind of Iranian influence on Gaza as well. So I think there are opportunities.
Right. Interesting. So thank you so much, Dr. Avner Cohen, who is
My
professor
pleasure.
at non-partisan and terrorism studies in Middlebury Institute. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.